Now we are. Oops. Hi, Stacy. I can't hear you, but you can hear me. Hi, Joan. Oops, I mean, Mom. There's a mad dash for the front door of the holiday book chat. Got about half the people in the room already.
We want to remind you guys, we wish we could be providing you with wine and swag at the bookstore tonight, but you should be grabbing yourselves a glass of wine or something fun to drink.
So during the course of the night, you guys feel free to put comments in the chat room or in the Q&A box if you have any questions. If you want to tell us about the favorite books you're reading. We've got a chat box ready for you to use. People are already using it. That's awesome. Alice wants to know where the wine is. Well, here it is, Alice, but you're on your own. Sorry.
It's in your fridge, honey, in your fridge. That little box that has a spigot. Run over here, Alice. I'm kind of far from you. Well, actually, I'm really close to Sally, so we're both far from you.
No, we're 13 minutes away.
A quick 13 minutes from Alice Hera. That makes life all good. I think somewhere out there is a Terry Folan, and Terry Folan's calling in from the beach.
Lucky Terry Folan. Terry Folan is in the house. Molly Slater is in the house. Kim Gillespie.
Hi, Allison Casser.
There's all kinds of them. Anka's here, Evelyn's here, Jane's here. Look at all you cute people. You guys are so cute. We got a bunch of Anns. Hi, Ann and Ann.
Did you say Tim Gillespie's in the house?
I said Tim Gillespie is in the house.
Well, that's good. I told him today I was going to talk about his book. Good thing I'm going to.
All right, where are we at? We're about 2/3 of the way full. Yes, Molly.
And Molly, yeah, your mic is automatically off, but we can hear you in our hearts, Molly. Okay, that was kind of cheesy.
That was so cheesy. We are setting the tone for the evening. The tone for the evening is we are cheesy.
You guys have seen Kim and Sally when we talk as fast as we possibly can and do this in front of a crowd, but without your immediate responses, it could get a little bonkers.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't actually see you guys, which means you can be in your jammies, you can be washing your hair, you can do whatever you want, just as long as you're taking
washing your hair. That might be a little
copious notes.
Yeah,
we've got some good suggestions tonight.
For those of you who are already in the room, at the very top of the chat room is a link to the list of all the books we are going to attempt to talk about tonight. I will tell you that the list is probably way more ambitious than is actually achievable, assuming you all want to get off this call before midnight. So, but You can click on the link afterwards or click on it now. And it's also on our website on the event page for the holiday book chat. We just posted it 5 minutes ago.
You want to start off with a drawing, or at least talk about the drawing?
What if we
think?
draw somebody who's not in the room yet?
Well, draw somebody else.
Okay. Must be present to
Okay.
win.
Must be present to win.
Okay.
So you guys,
Here we are.
normally when we're in the store doing this, we have swag bags for everyone, but that's too complicated this year. So we have 4 fabulous door prizes filled, well, an amazing tote bags filled with all kinds of
All
book
right, and I
stuff.
have everybody's name in my grandfather's hat. So I'm pulling out the first name right now. The first name is Molly Slater.
Molly Slater gets a bag. We'll call you Molly, but just remember too, it'll be a curbside pickup.
Along with 4,000 bags of books waiting for people to come pick up their books.
Maybe some of you. Thank you so much. We're honored by your.
Molly is very excited. Yay. All right. I think we should get started. What do you think? Kimby?
Let's do it.
You're in?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Sip of wine. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, everybody. Welcome to Broadway Books Annual Holiday Book Chat. Thanks to the dumpster fire of 2020, it's not quite the same as usual because we are not gathering in the cozy bookstore to share wine and snacks and laughter, but we are still here and we're laughing. And we appreciate your willingness to log on to yet another Zoom event. So grab your favorite beverage and sit back to hear Kim and I talk as quickly as we can about some of our favorite books for gift giving this holiday season. What is exactly the same this year is how difficult it is for Kim and I to pare down our lists to a manageable number because no one wants to sit through us talking for 8 hours. So we'll try to keep it close to an hour or so. But before we talk about books, I want to remind you about some of the other resources you can use either to shop online at our store or to prepare for a shopping appointment in the store. And our tech guru, Eloise, has quickly posted up at the top, you'll see staff picks. If you click on each staff person's pretty face, you'll see their usual list of staff picks, and below each pretty face is a link to their special list of gifts they'd like to give or get this holiday season. Then we have a link to award winners where you can see finalists and winners of the most recent literary prizes, such as the Booker, Pulitzer, and National Book Awards, as well as the New York Times Top 10. And finally, if you click on Book Suggestions 2020, you'll find a variety of recently published books categorized not just in the usual genres of poetry, mystery, biography, etc., but also stocking stuffers, books about books, pandemic-related fiction and nonfiction, and many more. And at the bottom of that page, you'll find a link to the page with books for younger readers, as well as links to puzzles and games. And then you can also use our handy dandy annual holiday book guide as a reference. We have printed copies in the store, but we also have one online that you can click on and look at all the different suggestions in that. And a final reminder, through our partnership with Libro FM, you can now purchase either individual digital audiobooks or memberships in 1, 3, 6, or 12-month memberships, either for yourself or as gifts. We are facing a lot of inventory challenges this season, and the good news is digital audiobooks never go out of stock. So if you can't get a book for someone that you were looking for, maybe you can get them a digital audiobook. So enough of that, let's talk about books. Take it away, Kimby.
So I was going to start with young reader, but due to the fact that Tim Gillespie's in the room, I'm starting with poetry. And I've got 3 categories of poetry that I want to talk about. The first one I'm calling highly anticipated and as good as you hoped. And we're going to start off with Margaret Atwood's Dearly. It's her first collection of poetry, hopefully you guys can see it, in over a decade. She addresses themes such as love, loss, the passage of time, nature of nature. Her new poetry is introspective, personal in tone, but wide-ranging in topic, and a wonderful read and a gift for anyone. The next one I'm going to talk about is Whale Day, which Billy Collins is literally the tincture we need for these troubling times. Whale Day is his latest incarnation in celebrating all that is magic about our everyday world. So if you're a Billy Collins fan, we highly recommend Whale Day. And then Devotions, which is now out in paperback. If Diana Spencer, for those of you Crown fans like me, was the official People's Princess, Mary Oliver is officially the People's Poet. Who doesn't swoon at her methodically slow way of bringing you to her subject, only to pummel you with a profound greatness? Devotions is the ultimate collection of her work, her best pieces from each of her books before, and a quintessential piece for every modern American library. I love this book so much that I think I talked about it last year too. So Devotions by Mary Oliver, now out in paper. Then I want to talk about poetry that include voices we just can't wait to share. And I've got two, and I forgot to grab the third from the store and only realized when I was unpacking my boxes at home earlier. The first one is When the Light of the World Was Subdued. This is a collection of over United States Poet Laureate Joe Harjo gathers the work of more than 160 poets. It's one of the most comprehensive and first collections by poets from Indigenous nations, and the first anthology of this size. We've got copies right now, but we were searching for more today at the store. So if this is something you are interested in, definitely get your orders in soon. When the Light of the World Was Subdued, Our Songs Came Through, and it's a collection of poetry edited by Poet Laureate Joe Harjo. The second book on my list is The Light of the World to See, and it's by NPR correspondent, New York Times bestselling author Kwame Alexander. It's a provocative collection of poems that cut to the heart of the entrenched racism and oppression in America. It's a book in the tradition of James Baldwin's A Report from Occupied Territory. It's a rap session on race. If you've ever heard Kwame Alexander speak, he's fantastic. He's does a lot of poetry and work for young people as well. So it's a gift among gifts, and we've got some at the store. Then the last one I'm going to talk about in this section is Post-Colonial Love Poems. This one was nominated for a National Book Award. It's by Natalie Diaz, and it's an anthem of desire against erasure, which, boy, don't we all have that right now. It's her brilliant second collection, and it demands that every body carried in its pages, bodies of language, land, rivers, suffering brothers, enemies, and lovers, be touched and held as beloveds. And I've marked a couple of poems. I don't think I have time to actually read a poem, but my favorite poem from this book is on page 19, and it's called They Don't Love You Like I Love You. So we think you should buy this collection and read my favorite poem. And then the last section of poems or poetry I'm going to talk about tonight is books that came out this year from some of our favorite local poets. All of these we are swooning over. We are quite lucky in Portland to have quite a collection of amazing poets. Tim Gillespie, number one, Old Stories, Some Not True. And you can see my yellow stickies from all the poems that I also love in here. I'm going to tell you Two Ravens on page 69 is one of my favorites, as is The Barflies Discuss the King's Impending Visit, which is an amazing poem on page 80. So local poet Tim Gillespie, Old Stories, Some Not True. John Brehm, No Day at the Beach. This is another fantastic collection from local poet John Brehm, who all these guys have read at the store before, which is amazing. And my favorite poem is on page 4. It's called Tough Town. It's about squirrels knocked down. So John Brehm. This Swarm of Light, Suzanne Sigafoo. Oh, she's fantastic. This is her newest collection from iBeam Books. We did a reading with Suzanne this fall, and I have too many poems to tell you which ones are my favorite, but you can I think you can catch the link to actually watch that presentation from Suzanne on our website. And if I'm wrong, Sally will correct me in just a minute. And then the last local poet that I want to talk about tonight is Susan Leslie Moore from Literary Arts. You may know her through her job at Literary Arts. That Place Where You Opened Your Hands, which is another fantastic collection. And this cover is done by Emily Winfield Martin, who's another local artist. And we love the cover, it's fantastic. So poetry, start us off tonight. And now it's back to you, Sal.
All right, well, I'm going to dive into a little Indigenous wisdom. So a few years ago, one of my favorite books was this book, Thunder and Lightning, which is a book all about the weather. And I don't really have a weather fetish, but I'm totally in love with Lauren Redness, who does this book. She combines journalistic research, storytelling, and artwork to create an encompassing deep dive into a subject. And I'm happy to report that Lauren Redness has a new book out called Oak Flat, A Fight for Sacred Land in the American West, where she tells the story about one of the poorest communities in America for whom Oak Flat in Arizona is sacred land, and the multinational mining community that essentially wants to wipe it off the map. So when Lauren does a book, she does all the artwork, she does all the research, she does all the storytelling. It's biography, it's memoir, it's everything. And this book is a treasure. And staying along the similar subject, we have Paying the Land by Portland graphic novelist Joe Sacco, who has put together a graphic novel about the Dene tribe in the Canadian Northwest Territories, which essentially explores the cost and benefits of development to that Indigenous community. And finally, a book that is not new, it was actually published in 2014, but is out in a beautiful new gift edition, Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So this has a new introduction by Robin, as well as illustrations at the chapter, the section openings, like that. And of course, a beautiful ribbon marker. So this will make a delightful gift for somebody in your life that you love and appreciate. Okay, Kimby.
All right, I'm moving on to middle reader. We're going to start off. So middle reader would be grade school. I'm going to start off with one of my favorites from the season, Everything Sad is Untrue. Here, can you guys see it? There we go. At the front of this middle school classroom in Oklahoma, a boy named Khosrow, who everybody calls Daniel, tries to tell a story, but nobody believes a word he says. Khosrow's stories, stretching back years and decades and centuries, are beautiful and terrifying. From the moment his family fled Iran in the middle of the night, with the secret police moments behind them, back to the sad cement refugee camps of Italy. It bounces between the school bus of kids armed with paperclip missiles and spitballs to the heroines and heroes of Khosrow's family past. He's like Scheherazade in a hostile classroom, and Daniel weaves this tale to save his own life, to stake his own claim to the truth. This is a beautiful book, and Daniel Nayeri is actually, this was a Publisher Weekly starred book, and he is from Seattle. So we really hoped to see him, but he did send us some book plates. So we do have signed copies of this. So fantastic. And again, I think this would be really appropriate for anyone from 4th through 7th grade. In the same vein are Jacqueline Woodson, National Book Award winner and former Young People's Poet Laureate. This is her stirring new novel in verse. It explores how family moves forward when the glory days have passed, and the real cost of professional sports on Black bodies. And it specifically talks about CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Hey, come on, I'm a bookseller, not a doctor. Which is found in scores of NFL players and other athletes. So this is a really powerful book. And then the list of things that will not change. This is Rebecca Stead, who wrote When You Reach Me several years ago. This is about E and after her parents' divorce. Her parents are friendly, and it's an amicable breakup. But she always looks back to the list she keeps in her green notebook to remember the things that will stay the same. And the first and most important is that her mom and dad will always love her. But now B's dad and his boyfriend Jesse are getting married, and Jesse has a daughter from California, and her daughter from California comes to live with B in New York. And although she is so excited to have a new sister, sometimes sisters aren't always dreamy. So this is a really powerful and great book, new one from Rebecca Stead. And then while I've got you all here in the middle reader section, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm calling books to help us remember we are strong and can overcome. And the first one, I'm going to have to show some illustrations from this one. This one is Girls Who Build. It's by Katie Hughes, who you guys might recognize from TV. She found she was often the only woman on construction work sites, and to change that, she began teaching classes to girls 8 through 14, showing them how to drill, saw, and weld. They quickly became sold-out summer camps, and she founded her own nonprofit, Girls Build. And this is a collection of photographs of 45 girls showing off their power tools and can-do attitudes. And I'm going to show you a couple of them because they're just too good. This is Aria, and it talks about why she loves to build, where she goes to classes, where she lives. She's from Metairie, Louisiana, in New Orleans. And what she asked them, what are some other activities that make you feel courageous, strong, and bold? Why do you build? So this is a really powerful, powerful book on the power of women. Tanzria, who lives in Richmond Hill, New York. She takes her lessons through tools and tiaras. How awesome is that? So girls who build. In that same category, here is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, the immigrant edition, 100 immigrant women who changed the world. If you guys have introduced Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls to any of the young women or men in your life, this is the next iteration in that series, the third book. It's packed with 100 all new bedtime stories about the lives of incredible female figures from the past and the present. It recognizes women who left their birth countries for a multitude of reasons, some for new opportunities, some out of necessity. And you'll hear about Ozma Khan, Madeleine Albright, Rihanna, so many, many immigrant women who are powerful and amazing. And the last one on my list is Stamped, which many of you may already have heard about this or know about this. Actually, Ibram Kendi is going to be speaking, sounds like it's going to be virtual through Literary Arts and Lectures program next year. But this is a fast-paced, energizing narrative written by beloved award-winning author Jason Reynolds, and it's based on the precepts created by scholar Ibram Kendi. It shines a light on the many insidious forms of racist ideas and on ways readers can identify and stamp out racist thoughts in their daily lives. So Jason Reynolds and Kendi partnered on this book, and it is really a powerful read. So hope in the dark. And now I'm going to pass it back to Sally.
Well, Kim, that is a perfect segue for me because I'm going to move from Indigenous wisdom to understanding living in Black bodies. This is the most remarkable book I've read all year and maybe in my entire life. It made me see the world through different eyes. This is Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. She is a remarkable researcher, storyteller, and writing. And in this book, she draws on the work of anthropologists, geneticists, and social economists to uncover the arbitrariness of racial divisions, comparing the caste system of the Jim Crow South, which lives on today, unfortunately, to the caste systems of India and Nazi Germany. This is an eye-opening book, and I encourage everybody to read this book. And then we have Claudia Rankine's book, Just Us, which is her brilliant examination of whiteness in America using essays, images, and poems that encourage white people to understand the impact of being white, the way Black people have to daily understand the impact of being Black, and demonstrating how Americans of all races might begin to engage with each other with more honesty and grace, and in the process, bridge gaps that these days can feel wider than ever. This is also a brilliant book. And most of my books are hardcovers, but I had to talk about this little paperback because I love this new book of essays that's just come out. Actually, it's a revision of a book. Keith Lehman bought back the rights to his book because he wanted to redo it the way he wanted it to be. This is called How to Slowly Kill Yourself and Others in America. He also wrote the collection called Heavy. This book is about essays on Blackness, manhood, self, and becoming a writer. And it is a brilliant collection. And finally, hot off the press, this book just published this week, the most hideous cover I've ever seen, but this is from the author of So You Want to Talk About Race, and it's a new book that examines the unjustness of the white patriarchal world. And I'm just going to jump in on one other category as long as I've got the camera, and that is I'm going to talk about novels that you can get lost in. And my favorite novel of the year is Monogamy by Sue Miller. I was totally hijacked by this novel, which I read over a course of a weekend. Actually, Mom and Stacy, I read this when I was in Walla Walla. It is a book of love, betrayal, grief, and peppered with humor. I hated to say goodbye to these characters, and truly, I hate to acknowledge this in public, but I cried when I turned the last page. And it involves a bookstore owner, so hey. Another book that I really loved, The Great Offshore Grounds by Portland author Vanessa Vaselko. This is her second novel. and it was longlisted for the National Book Award this year. It totally captivated me. It's a cross-country novel of 3 siblings and about family mythologies. And this is a collection of stories that I'm in the process of reading, The Office of Historical Corrections by Danielle Evans, which blends levity and sorrow, abandonment and racism, and shows off her wit and her compassion. And finally, oh, I don't have the book, but I have the ARC, the advanced reading copy here, from the author of Beautiful Ruins, one of our best-selling books in the bookstore. Jess Walter comes the book The Cold Millions, which is a historical novel set in Spokane, Washington in the early years of the 20th century and involves labor union organizing and free speech. So Cold Millions. Ta-da.
All right, I'm up. I'm going to move to YA, so young adult readers. These are going to be for our high school students, and most of these are appropriate for like 12 and up. The first one I'm going to talk about, ooh, let's make sure I get that in there, is The Way Back. This is a National Book Award finalist from author Gabriel Savrit, who he wrote Anna and the Swallow Man, which was actually one of my favorites from a couple of years ago. This is an allegorical, detailed story based on traditional Jewish folklore. It involves a boy and a girl who both tempt death in a cemetery. They then follow separate paths, ending in the same destination, and they join together with wit and humor to defeat the ultimate foe, which would be death. Perfect for fans of Philip Pullman or Neil Gaiman, and it's a highly anticipated new release, and we just got it in the store. It just released. So The Way Back by Gabriel Savit. Perfect. Oh, wait, I lost my notes. The next one I'm going to show you is Alatsue, which I just think this cover is spectacular. It might be one of my favorite covers of the season. Here, I'll back up so you can actually see it. This is another engaging YA novel based on myth, this time from an American indigenous tribe, the Lipan Apache in Texas. It's full of action, rich storyline, beautiful writing, and it's really a very beautiful book about a very normal girl who myths do come into play in her life. The last one is a paperback edition, and I actually may have talked about this one last year too because I really loved this book, but here it is in paperback. This is Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. It's another beautifully written historical fiction. It's newly released in paper, as I just told you, about the son of an American oil tycoon who finds himself living in Madrid during the Spanish Civil War. He meets our heroine, Anna, and they see how her family is divided and connected, and what happens during the Spanish Civil War and the rise of Franco. So really, really good. Some Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. And then I'm going to, while I still have your attention, I'm going to move to one more YA section. And that is, so that was seeing the world from a different perspective. This is now seeing America from a different perspective. This is Punching the Air, award-winning author Ibi Zoboi and prisons reform activist Yusef Salaam, who is one of the exonerated 5, comes a very powerful YA novel in verse about a boy who is wrongfully incarcerated. What normally would be boys will be boys if he was white, ends up with him in jail because he's Black. It is perfect for fans of Jason Reynolds, Walter Dean Myers, and Elizabeth Acevedo, which, man, Elizabeth Acevedo's novel was one of my favorites from last year, so also in verse. So this is Punching the Air. The next one in this series is My Black Friend. This one also just recently released with another spectacular cover. This is from the perspective of a friend, Frederick Joseph, and he offers candid reflections on his own experiences with racism, conversations with prominent artists and activists about theirs. So it's a nonfiction book. It's creating an essential read for white people who are committed anti-racists and those newly who have come to the cause of racial justice. And again, this is a YA book. So if you've got some young readers in your life that are really fired up about racial issues right now, that would be an excellent, excellent possibility. And this one's back to fiction. This is My America by Kim Johnson, and she's a local writer. While doing everything she can to help her innocent father get exonerated from death row, main character Tracy Beaumont faces the unthinkable when her brother is picked up by police in the middle of the night for a crime he didn't commit. This is, and the perils of mass incarceration, and again from Portland, and a really powerful and well-respected debut. So this is This is My America by Kim Johnson. And now to you, Sally.
Oh, I just went and took a nap there for a little bit. That
Woo!
Just kidding. All right, this is for the birder in your life. Any birder knows the name David Allen Sibley. This is A Feast for the Mind and the Eye with his own illustrations. The subtitle is What Birds Are Doing and Why. It answers the most frequently asked questions about birds that we see the most often. Can birds smell? Can robins hear worms? And etc. And it's got these big 2-page spreads that are just really quite remarkable. I love the hummingbirds, and it talks about their frequency. Let's see what else we got here. The chickadees, chickadee dee dee, love the chickadees. And how robins nest. So this is one of those books, and you're going to hear this theme a lot throughout the night, that is quickly going out of stock. It goes out of stock and then it comes back, but there's only 4, and then we grab them and then it goes away again. So if you're interested in this book, grab it quickly because it's going to be gone. And the same is true of this gorgeous new book, The Backyard Bird Watcher's Bible, which is an eye-catching reference book for beginners and enthusiasts alike, with practical tips on identifying, attracting, and caring for birds in your own backyard. This is kind of a thick tome, but not as tall as that one, and it is really, really beautiful. It's like a work of art as well as a source of knowledge. And then this beautiful book, World of Wonders, while at first glance it looks like merely a lovely nature book, and it is that, this is a collection of essays from a poet who ruminates on flora and fauna, but also on race and love and identity and belonging. And it is surprisingly rare to find a nature book written by a person of color. And this book is just a remarkable book, and it is a thin book. So I'm not even begin to pronounce the author's names. World of Wonders in Praise of the Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments. But interestingly enough, the pull quote on the front is from Keith Lehman, who wrote that essay book that I liked so much. And let's talk about mysteries.
While
And then
Sally's
draw.
grabbing her,
The drawing.
wait, yeah, well, that's a good idea. And while Sally's grabbing her next deck, I just want to put in another plug for World of Wonders. It's fantastic.
Okay, but first we're doing this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first we're gonna do mysteries. So this is a time of year where everybody seems to be looking for mysteries, whether it's for themselves or for gifts. And so we're going to make just a few recommendations. This is a debut mystery from a British author, The Thursday Murder Club, which is set in a peaceful retirement village in which 4 friends get together to discuss unsolved crimes. Fiendishly clever and brilliantly funny, very smart and very British. Other book that is flying off our shelves right now, staying in the UK, but moving to off the coast of Ireland, is The Guest List, where it's an island off the coast of Ireland where guests have gathered for a wedding and then someone turns up dead. So don't say we didn't warn you. This is really for the Agatha Christie lover in your life. And I know many of you read The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz and really loved that book. So those characters return in The Moonflower Murders, in a book that is brilliantly clever, relentlessly suspenseful, and full of twists that will keep readers guessing with each new revelation. And then if you're ready to try something new, here's a debut thriller that is set on an Indian reservation in South Dakota that is written by an enrolled citizen of the Lakota Nation. Crime fiction at its best. And of course, there are new books from many of our tried and true favorite mystery authors, Tana French with The Searcher, Louise Penny with All the Devils Are Here, as well as new books from Michael Connelly, Joe Nesbo, John Grisham, Lee Child, Ann Cleves, and many, many more. So come check out our mystery section at the store. Now I have the magic hat.
So the tote bag, one of these tote bags are for Falliston, which was a fantastic cookbook by, oh, I'm not gonna remember his name. Shoot, the guy who wrote Ottolenghi or Jerusalem with Yodam Ottolenghi, but these tote bags are super
Is
cool.
Amy Hemming.
Amy Hemming, congratulations. Hopefully you're
And
there,
Amy
right
is
in.
here. Amy is in the house. Yay, Amy.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, Kim.
Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
stay on the young reader thoughts, and I'm going to talk a little bit about books that I think are perfect to read aloud. It's not rare, but it doesn't often happen that everyone in our store loves one book, but everyone in our store loves this book. This is Skunk and Badger by Amy Timberlake, and the pictures are done by John Clausen. This is literally the best read aloud. It's a little bit like Oscar and Felix meets Frog and Toad. Badger is a geologist and he does very important rock work, but he happens to live in his aunt's house, and his aunt also has offered up lodgings to Skunk, who, of course, because Badger is so busy doing his work, doesn't read his emails or his letters and doesn't see that Skunk is coming. Skunk arrives at the house, which, look at the fantastic drawing. Skunk arrives at the house and Badger's like, no. Okay, you're staying, fine, but you're sleeping in the closet, which Skunk has no part of, moves into the prettiest room in the house and proceeds to burrow himself into Badger's life in a way that Badger can't forget. So a fantastic book and a wonderful read aloud, Skunk and Badger. In fact, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say that on one Saturday afternoon while we were waiting for curbside pickupers, we might have read part of it out loud to each other at the store. The next one is The Littlest Voyageur by Margie Preuss. And this is a spectacular book about a squirrel who is absolutely enamored with the voyageurs who leave from Quebec and head off the St. Lawrence River into trapping country to collect furs. And he thinks their red scarves are so smashing, and he jumps on the boat to tag along, only to realize they're collecting furs. So poor squirrel has to he might create a bit of a disturbance to stop some of the fur trapping. It's a fantastic book. So The Littlest Voyageur by Margie Preuss. And then our own Renee Watson, who has come up with her response to Beverly Cleary's Ramona. This is Ways to Make Sunshine. This book is literally perfect for every second, third, fourth, fifth grader you know. And it will be the beginning of a long series by Renee. And Renee, again, is a Northeast Portland born girl and a wonderful friend to Portland. She lives in Brooklyn now and actually is one of the people that's rehabbing and refurbishing Langston Hughes' house in Harlem. And she has now gained serious national acclaim, and we love this. So Ways to Make Sunshine, Renee Watson. And now I'll pass it back to you, Sal.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about some visually delightful books, and I'm going to start with one of my favorite books of the year, because who doesn't need a feel-good book in the dumpster fire that is 2020? So that book is Our Wild Tales, which tells the story of Henry and Baloo, who are a dog and cat who travel everywhere with their Colorado-based parents. There's Henry and Baloo when they were younger. And there's Henry and Baloo with their parentals. Oops. Scoop. And then, I mean, whoever saw a cat and dog who loved each other quite this much?
I can't even get my cats to love each other.
I don't usually like putting animals in costumes, but that is really kind of cool. And then check this out. They're in Cannon Beach. I wish I had been there to see them that day. So that's Our Wild Tales, The Adventures of Henry and Baloo. And then this one's going to break my arm to pick up, but this is so cool. So this is the ultimate gift for any Doonesbury lover. It's a limited edition deluxe set, which includes a USB drive with all 50 years of the Doonesbury strip, including the 26 years of Sunday comics, a searchable calendar archive, character biographies, and a week-by-week description of the strip's contents. It also includes a wire-bound book taking readers through each year of the strip's history with historical trivia, milestone strips, featured storylines, and characters. And it comes with a poster of all the characters. So I'm sure you can think of somebody in your life who would be tickled pink to get a collection of Doonesbury. And then this book is a gorgeous book. It's an exquisite photographic love letter to Black children around the world from a husband and wife team. And they have just gone around the world, including the United States, and taking these stunning photographs. It's called Magical Visions of Black Beauty, and it's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see from the cover. And then finally, this one, which fortunately just came back into stock today, after being out of stock. Dolly Parton, Songteller. Feels like Dolly is kind of everywhere lately. And this luscious book offers rare photographs and memorabilia while also telling the personal stories and memories behind 60 years of songwriting. And this is going to not last. This is going to be out of stock probably in 48 hours. So if you want it, call the store tomorrow because we've only got 2 copies left. Do you want me to do something else or do you want to go?
No, I'm gonna go. Although let's do one more drawing real quick.
Oh yeah, drawing.
Let's do a drawing because then I'm gonna go into cookbooks. I'm gonna talk for a little while. Okay,
No,
this
I
one
don't think so.
This is for a Libro FM bag. We love
Terry
Libro.
Warner.
Oops.
Terry on. Terry, are you there?
Pick Alice.
I don't see Terry. Terry, going once.
Pick another name. Pick another name.
Hello, what if Terry's this sleeping? Okay.
I'm sorry, Terry. If you're in the bath, don't short out your computer.
All right, we got Marcy Kuhn. Are you here, Marcy?
Marcy!
Marcy's here.
Marcy's here.
Terry,
Marcy, the Black Libro FM bag is yours.
Marcy wins. All right. Take it away, cookbooks.
And if Terry's on and is just getting out of the bath to get to the
we'll come up with a gift bag.
We'll come up with a gift bag for you.
Broadway
okay.
Names to please.
I'm going to start off with my well, actually, these are cookbooks. I have a couple of different themes. Cookbooks that make you feel like you're traveling, even if you're not. This is BB's Kitchen. In BB's Kitchen, maybe you've heard a little bit about this one because it's getting a lot of press. Some folks cookbooks purely for the recipes, and some see them as a celebration of culture. Luckily, this cookbook feeds the soul of both. Food writer and chef Julia Turshen, who's done a lot of collab kind of productions with cookbooks, and some of herself, lends her skill to Hawa Hassan's knowledge of African cooking, highlighting some of the quintessential recipes passed down from generation to generation by some of the most famous chefs in 8 African nations that all border the Indian Ocean. This book celebrates the power of food and family and culture, and it is literally a magical feast. So it makes you feel like you're traveling to these countries. I was looking through today and it was very hard to pick the one story I wanted to talk about. This is Ma Maria, and they talk about each one of the chefs, her children, how they're inspired by her cooking, and then include all kinds of amazing recipes. Hers is almost sounds Cuban with these incredible curry and fried fish and coconut sauce and fried plantains. So Ma Maria in BB's Kitchen, this is a real treasure. The next one I'm going to talk about is another store favorite. It's called Dishoom, and this is literally a travel narrative smashed with a brilliant cookbook from the restaurateurs who have opened Dishoom in London. It includes over 100 recipes for their favorite Bombay comfort foods and drinks, and this book will transport you to your most treasured corners of Bombay, which I have always wanted to visit India. So for me, this was a real gem. And this is actually my personal copy, because I'm getting it for Christmas. My family doesn't even know. This is their fresh lime soda recipe. There's all kinds of stories, a gentle stroll on Chowpatty at sunset with plentiful snacks. So eating your way through Bombay. Look at this spectacular picture. And we've got copies of Dishoom right now. This is an amazing, amazing book. Then the last one I'm going to talk about is The French Laundry. And this book is so beautiful. I don't even want to take it out of its plastic wrap, not even for me, because it's so beautiful. French Laundry per se, this is one of Publisher Weekly's top books for 2020. Cookbook further links Thomas Keller's 2 renowned restaurants, The French Laundry in California and Per se in New York. Their kitchens are actually linked by a live video feed, which is crazy. I've seen it on Phil Rosenthal's Somebody Feed Phil. It shares the masterful concepts of 70 of their favorite dishes, notes on technique, stories about farmers and purveyors, and revelatory essays from Thomas Keller. And again, I haven't even opened this up because I'm too scared. It's so beautiful, like everything that Thomas Keller does. So if you've got a Thomas Keller lover in your family, I think this is the quintessential book. It is expensive at $75, but maybe worth traveling without traveling. And then I'm not relinquishing yet. Don't give up on me, Sally. It's my turn still. I want to talk about two chefs who have been putting out a lot of cookbooks over the last couple of years, but dang, they're all good. So the first one is Barefoot Contessa Ina Garden's newest cookbook, Modern Comfort Food. And dang, if we don't need comfort food right now, right? And then the other one is Yoda Monolengi has come out with his newest book called Flavor. I don't even think I marked a page because everything in Yoda Monolengi's books are fantastic. That's just eggs, people. Look how good that looks. It's making me hungry to think about it. And that's just not the wine talking. Eggplant dumplings.
Him on wine talking.
Him on wine, not coffee. Wine talking about food. Yes. So 2 masters. Can I keep going, Sally? One more round of cooking. Come on. Okay. I'm passing it back to Sally.
Yeah. Wait till you see when I get to biographies. I'm going to talk for like a half an hour. First, since you were talking about comfort food, I'm going to talk about books for comforting. And I'm going to start with this one that's fairly new called Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times by Catherine May. This is really the perfect book for this time. I was a little skeptical about this book because I'm not really kind of into like too much, self-helpy kind of stuff. But this book is really about leaning into challenging times and not expecting so much of ourselves, slowing down, resting more. Catherine says that wintering brings about some of the most profound and insightful moments of our human experience, and wisdom resides in those who have wintered. So starting December 25th, I am going to winter. And then another book that we can all turn to for comfort in these challenging times is One Long River of Song by the much loved Brian Doyle. The paperback of this book, which came out last December, is coming out next Tuesday. So we will have both the hardcover version and the paperback edition. And this book makes one of the best gifts on the planet. And then finally, this wonderful little book of inspiration and poetry by Maggie Smith, Keep Moving, Notes on Loss, Creativity, and Change. She speaks to you like an encouraging friend, and her encouraging friend book is flying off the shelf so quickly that move quickly if you want one. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, I'm going to picture books. Because talk about comfort. The first one I'm going to talk about is I Am Every Good Thing. Beautiful picture books that bring hope in dark times. That's my theme for right now. I Am Every Good Thing, an upbeat, powering, important picture book from the team that created the award-winning Crown, an ode to the fresh cut. This book is so fabulous. I am a nonstop ball of energy, powerful and full of light. I'm a go-getter, a difference maker, a leader. These illustrations are spectacular. Derek Barnes is the writer, Gordon James is the illustrator. They're fantastic. This is a celebration of being young and being powerful and being joyful. It's a really wonderful book. I Am Every Good Thing. And then another just massive stock favorite. This is If You Come to Earth, beautifully illustrated guide for anyone wanting a deeper look at the magic and compassion of our world. This book is so special, and it's another showstopper from a double Caldecott winner, Sophie Blackwell. She won for Finding Winnie and then the Hello Lighthouse. She wrote it after traveling the world, visiting classrooms, and she actually has a video on her website about this book. As you absorb the incredible illustrations, you'll notice the input she received from many of the students she met around the world. And I didn't even, oh goodness. She promised all kinds of kids that they would make it into the book. She's got a section here of paint colors. Oh, this is it. I turned right to it. These are the colors you need to paint everything in the world. And the names of some of these are hysterical. Grammy's lipstick, Mars, chew gum. Dreams do come true. She's fantastic, and this book is wonderful. If You Come to Earth by Sophie Blackwell.
She's one of my favorite illustrators.
She's so great. And then the last book I want to talk about is one I don't actually have a copy of because I am desperately waiting for it to arrive. It's called Lights and Types of Ships at Night, and it's by the team at McSweeney's and Dave Eggers. And while I haven't actually seen this book yet, and we're still waiting copies. The shared images of this title are incredible. We can trust the powerful combination of Dave Eggers and the powers that be at McSweeney's to create a magical masterpiece of imagery and earthly magic. So check back with us. Sally found out today that we still have no idea when it's going to arrive, but it's going to be Christmas magic, and we're going to get this book within the next week or two. I can feel it. It's called Lights and Types of Ships at Night by Dave Eggers. All right, Sally, back at you.
All right. Well, you can always count on the holiday season to give us plenty of big, deep biographies to chew on. And for a change, 2020 does not disappoint, as it has been wont to do much of the year. We're so excited to have biographies from some female authors that haven't been written about much, including Adrienne Rich, The Power of Adrienne Rich. This one just came out last week. Red Comet about Sylvia Plath. This one just came out yesterday. Sometimes You Have to Lie by Louise Fitzhugh, who is the author of one of my all-time favorite books when I was a kid, Harriet the Spy. And while yes, there's been a lot written by Eleanor Roosevelt, and you think, really, another book? This new book is a worthwhile edition because it's a single volume edition with fresh research and meticulous writing. And this one, I'm reading it right now. It's really good. And this one came out a few months ago, and I was really surprised at how much I learned about politics in general and about Nancy Pelosi in particular from this book. I really recommend it. It was fascinating. And just so you don't think we're only talking about women tonight, the men are well represented as well. Two that I'm particularly excited about are biographies of homegrown James Beard, who went to Reed College for a time, and you know him from the chef world, and Jimmy Carter, back when we had ethical presidents. Remember that? It's called His Very Best. And male writers are represented as well. A new biography of John Steinbeck. Again, another person you think, really, you need more about this, but this is the first of a 2-volume biography of JFK, and it's really, really interesting. This one just won the National Book Award for nonfiction, The Dead Are Arising, which is the biography of Malcolm X. It was written by Les Payne, who unfortunately passed away before he was able to finish the book, and his daughter finished the book.
Look at that stack.
I knew I'd catch up with you. And then finally, yes, another person who needs another book on Abraham Lincoln. But this book by David Reynolds takes a different approach. It really focuses on the cultural influences, the music, humor, literature, and fashions of his time and their impact on not only Abraham Lincoln, but on his wife, his assassin, his professional partners, etc. This incorporates a lot of new research and is magisterial, authoritative, and fresh. And who doesn't want a fresh book? So with that, Kim, you're up.
All right, I'm going back to cookbooks, and this time I'm talking about baking because, you know, in pandemic times when we're all in quarantine, that's all we ever do is bake
Or eat.
Hence my new waistline. This one is a new one called Snacking Cakes from Yossi Arefi, and who's a food writer, stylist, and award-winning baking blogger. This is one of the best cookbooks of the year by Bon Appetit, and one of fall's best cookbooks by the New York Times and Food and Wine. I was super skeptical about this book, and then our coworker Carrie made a couple of cakes out of it, and she loved the cakes so much she didn't bring them into the stores. We didn't even get it.
You weren't there that day. She did bring them in. Yeah, they were delicious. Sorry you missed it.
Man. There are 50 easy everyday cake recipes made with simple ingredients, one bowl, and no fuss. And I'm going to show you a couple of them because they look so good. This is a pumpkin olive oil cake. Yeah. And then look at this one. Who doesn't love whole grain strawberry cake? Whole grain, that's healthy. So snacking cakes. All right, and I've got 2 more. One is Baking in the 20th Century Cafe, not easy bakes. These are complicated, awesome bakes from Hungarian, other Eastern European. Look at that collection of delicious and exquisite desserts, which I'm going to tell you guys a little secret if you didn't already know. and that is that Pix Patisserie has a vending machine. You can buy slices of their desserts from their vending machine 24 hours a day. Pretty amazing. In front of Pix Patisserie on Broadway, I mean on Burnside. Here's a recipe for the Dobos torta, which if you love European desserts. Oh, and here's one, coconut Bavarian with tangerine granita and basil seeds. This actually almost looks healthy. So baking in the 20th Century Cafe, which the 20th Century Cafe is an incredible place, restaurant or cafe, bakery in San Francisco. Somewhere, some kind of building. I've never been there, but
I don't know.
I know it's in San Francisco. This is Dessert Person, which I have to admit. So, in my world, I have teenage daughters, and my daughter Sylvia is a huge baker. And when she came downstairs today to look at the books that were laying on the piano, she was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, Claire Saffitz, she's totally the Bon Appetit blogger. I watch her all the time." So, Dessert Person, Claire Saffitz is the baking hero for a new generation, clearly. In Dessert Person, fans will find Claire's signature spin on sweet and savory recipes like babka challah mashup. What? Strawberry cornmeal layer cake, malted forever brownie. She outlines the problems and solutions for each recipe, like what to do if your pie dough for sour cherry pie cracks. You patch it with dough or a quiche flour paste, as well as practical do's and don'ts, skill level prep and bake time, step-by-step photography, foundational know-how. And this is the recipe that Sylvie promised she will make for me, which is chocolate buttermilk cake. Yeah. So baking books are all the rage. Cookbooks have been amazing this season. I think it's one of the things that's happening in pandemic is everyone's cooking. And so we've had quite a run on cookbooks, and there's lots of them at the store. So call us if you need any cookbook recommendations.
That was the joke that was going around when they were counting the votes after the election, was that with all the pandemic stress eating, that person said they were going to get to 270 before either of the candidates did. That was great. And as long as we're laughing, let's talk about stuff that makes us laugh. So this guy always makes me laugh. David Sedaris, The Best of Me. He put together this collection himself. It's hand-picked. We have a few signed copies left. And I also must just add that David Sedaris is one of those authors who I love his books on audio, because I love when David reads to me, and he is funny without being mean or demeaning, and he is always a winner. So I would definitely go for that one. This is one that's going to disappear in about 10 minutes, A Wealth of Pigeons, which is a cartoon collaboration from comedian Steve Martin. Yes, that's Steve Martin, and New Yorker cartoonist Harry Bliss. So The Wealth of Pigeons.
And then finally, I think you've talked about Harry Bliss in the past. Haven't you suggested some of Harry Bliss's books?
I think I have.
I think you have.
New Yorker writing. And then finally, Jerry Seinfeld of TV fame has his first book in 25 years, Is This Anything?, where he selects his favorite material organized by decade, starting with his first performance as a 21-year-old college student in the fall of 1975. And we also still have a few signed copies left of this book in the store. So that's funny. Can I talk about something else? Okay, I'll talk about memoir, because that's short. So memoir, we have one of my favorite memoirs this year is by Jacqueline Winspear of Maisie Dobbs fame. This Time Next Year We'll Be Laughing, which tells the story of her family and growing up in County Kent in England. And reading it, you can see where Maisie came from. That's a picture of Jackie on the cover. She just got stung by a bee on her lip, so she looks a little bit grumpy, as you can see. The title comes from a phrase that Jackie's father used to say regularly as they struggled to get by. And as you can see, we also have signed copies of that book. Another book that we have a few signed copies left, somebody else who's been in the news of late, Megan Rapinoe, One Life. Megan played soccer at the University of Portland, as well as playing on the U.S. Women's World Cup and Olympic teams. She's been in the news a lot of late, and here she delivers an interesting and inspiring memoir about her journey from growing up in a conservative town in Northern California to becoming a highly visible spokesperson for racial justice, gay rights, and equal pay in sports. And finally, this is sort of an obscure memoir. I don't know if you know this person, President Barack Obama, A Promised Land. This is the first volume of his 2-volume memoir. And while we can't promise you that this Obama will make a surprise appearance at our bookstore, you never know. We can assure you that this is eloquently written and fascinating. So, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. Okay.
I only have 2 more categories to talk about, Sal, which is good because we're wrapping up almost to an hour here.
I only have 1 or 2.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to talk about books that are beautiful, books that are so special. They're some of our favorites in the store right now. I'm going to start with Oregon, My Oregon. I'm actually just going to show you these books. This is a new photographic. I just opened it up. Look what I just turned into. Every one of these is spectacular. Land of Natural Wonders, which, boy, we could not confirm more. Yeah, I can. I'm directionally challenged. You can see all the incredible illustrations.
That's one of those great, like, housewarming presents, or one of those, like,
I was just going to say that you're traveling, you're visiting somebody else, and you want to talk about where you're from. One day we get to travel again. The second one I'm going to talk about, it's called American Utopia. This is a partnership collaboration between Mara Kalman and David Byrne. And the back literally says it all. Despite all that has happened, despite all that is still happening, I think there is still possibility. We are still a work in progress. They are a fantastic collaboration. The dog shows no concern. This is spectacular. So
show
American
the inside, show the inside cover.
Yeah. And we have signed copies signed by both of them with a beautiful, incredible book plate. So American Utopia by David Byrne and Mara Kalman. And then the last one, as my daughters were coming down and everyone was walking through as I was setting up for tonight, and I said to myself, I wonder what my favorite book on the table is. And I came up with it. And then I said to Sally, what do you think your favorite book on the table is? And she came up with it, and it's the same book. It's called Lost Spells. It's another collaboration by Robert McFarlane and Jackie Morris. Jackie Morris is an illustrator who's illustrated hundreds of children's books, or many, maybe not hundreds, but many. And Robert McFarlane, hundreds. We're lying right here in Broadway Books. That's the only lie. Robert McFarlane is a fantastic nature writer. Both of them are from England. They wrote the very large book last year called The Lost Words, and it was one of our favorites from last year. This is The Lost Spells, and I'm actually going to read you from the very first introductory page before I show you any illustrations. Loss is the tune of our age, hard to miss and hard to bear. Creatures, places, and words disappear day after day, year on year, but there has always been singing in dark times, and wonder is needed now more than ever. To enchant means both to make magic and to sing out. So let these spells ring far and wide. Speak their words and seek their art. Let the wild world into your eyes, your voice, your heart. And there is literally, I couldn't even put stickies because every page is spectacular. Jackie Morris is one of the best illustrators in the world, and every page is amazing. And every one of these lost spells, it's meant to be spoken aloud.
So I have to tell you that the Hay Festival just took place recently, and they interviewed Robert and Jackie, and I posted it on our Facebook page, the Broadway Books Facebook page, and it has a video clip of a young British student who memorized one of the spells in the book and does it as kind of like a rap poem, and it is fantastic. So you all should check out the Facebook page and see that video clip because it's so wonderful.
I mean, amazing, just amazing. And I will say we have copies of this. It's $26 in hardcover, but this is another one where once we sell out of what we've sold out, I don't think we're going to get any more. It also has a beautiful ribbon. I'm not going to, oh yes, I did. I found it right away. So this is a spectacular book, and if it's imprinted on the front cover, it's beautiful. So if you have anyone in your life that loves nature or the world, this is the one for now. That's special. Oh, so special. All right, you're up, Sal.
All right, I'm going to talk about science because we all like a little science in our life. So a few years ago, Yuval Harari told the story of humankind's creation and evolution in Sapiens, exploring the ways in which biology and history have defined us. But for some people, that was a lot of words. So they have now come out with a graphic novel presentation of this book. This is volume 1 of Sapiens graphic, and it is available in both paperback and hardback. Right now, the paperback is very difficult to get, and we have a couple copies of the hardback. I think it's 40 versus 26 between the paperback and the hardback. Interesting that the quotes on the back are from Bill Gates, President Barack Obama, and Natalie Portman. That's an interesting collection of Poe quotes, but this is a great gift. Another really fascinating science book recently published is Fossil Men, which is about a story of scientists who were challenging the established orthodoxy about human evolution in the search for the oldest human skeletons. And so this book blends science, history, politics, human drama, and mystery. And I started reading it. It's actually it's a really intriguing story. The Last Stargazers, The Enduring Story of Astronomy's Vanishing Explorers by Emily Levesque. Think of this as Lab Girl for Astronomy. It's an insider's tale of stars and the astronomers who study them. And who'd have thunk you'd want to read a book about eels? Well, it turns out that you do. This one brilliantly blends memoir and nature writing. Think H's for Hawk and the soul of an octopus. And then finally, a book that came out a few years ago that was very popular, Other Minds, about octopus by Peter Godfrey Smith. He has a new book out called Metazoa, Animal Life and the Birth of the Mind. It's a really good, for any of the science lovers in your life, I would highly recommend any one of these books.
All right, and I'm on my last category, Sally, and that is, I don't even know if I named it. I might not have. The no name category, but you'll all recognize it has a theme. I am a huge podcast listener, not as big as my friend Terry Folan, who's in the audience tonight, but I am a huge podcast listener. And one of my very favorites is the 99% Invisible podcast. They've recently come out with a book. And if you listen to 99% Invisible, he's been a little crazy about publicizing this book, which is awesome. The magic of 99% Invisible is that it takes things that are 99% invisible and makes them visible. So he's done podcasts on toilet paper. He's done podcasts on all kinds of things. In this time of pandemic, when we are spending so much more time walking alone, we're forced to look at our world in a different way. And I think this is absolutely the best companion to that. And he talks about all things that happen in our cities. I'm actually, for those of you who don't know, I am a master's in city planning, which has nothing to do with book selling until it comes to 99% Invisible, the hidden world of everyday design. He talks about all different kinds of things that we walk past all the time and may not understand or know about, and the magic of the things that we don't see all the time. And my first favorite is, I was looking through and I could stick you just about everything. This one is called Rounding Down, and it's on manhole covers, which are pretty spectacular. The art that comes from manhole covers. And he does that with all kinds of architectural things that are happening. Formative setbacks, the mansard roof. I mean, all different kinds of things. And it's not just architectural features, but things that make cities, foundations, vernacular, all kinds of stuff that happens with architecture. So 99% Invisible. The next one I'm going to talk about is Stuff You Should Know. This is another podcast duo, Josh Clark and Chuck Bryant. And the one that fell, I looked through a bunch of these today, and the one that really grabbed me was Donut versus Donut. They're funny. They're great.
You're on a baking theme.
I am. Incomplete compendium of mostly interesting things. We're rounding on dinner time. I'm hungry. I'm ready for pickets. So 99% or not Stuff You Should Know, which is another fantastic podcast, and the book that came out this year because of it. And then another pop culture icon. If any of you are fans of Humans of New York, Brandon Stanton, who was the author of Humans in New York, which is a spectacular collection where he just literally interviewed people on the street, has now done Humans, and it's a whole collection of people from around the world. Paris, St. Petersburg, Berlin, Dakar, Toronto, Abu Dhabi, Nairobi, Lagos, and the list goes on and on and on. And what he does is, he reminds me of Marion Winnick from the Baltimore Book of the Dead, even though these people are all still alive. He takes their stories and he pulls out the things that make lives most special. And he really nails it once again. There's a line from a Russian poem. It says, "We love just once in a lifetime and spend the rest of our lives looking for something similar." I've had other girlfriends after Oksana, but I don't remember their birthday. Oksana's birthday was July 29th. She's a Leo. So just like Sally, pretty fabulous.
Woo! Leos.
Humans. So another fabulous gift for the person you're just not sure who to get, what to get for them. And we have signed copies. And actually, these are rose lined. Pretty cool.
As opposed to when we lie and sign them ourselves.
As opposed to when we get one of our staff members to sign furiously. No, book plates. That actually has a signature on a tip pin. So it's good.
All right,
Exciting.
my last group, which I don't have all the books here for because I honestly didn't think we were going to get to this last group.
Woohoo! We talk so fast.
Oh man, we talk fast. I'm going to talk about history books. I'm going to tell you about a few that you might not, that maybe are a little under the radar. First of all, this one, Unsettled Ground, is a fresh take on the Whitman Massacre, which is now more correctly referred to as the tragedy at Waiilatpu, and the legacy of that time by Cassandra Tate. And having grown up in Walla Walla, this is a book of particular interest to me. A book that's coming out next week is Bagman by Rachel Maddow, which is the astonishingly and nearly forgotten story of the crimes of a sitting president, vice president. Who can imagine the presidents with crimes? Spiro T. Agnew. So Bagman will be out next week. Another book with a local connection is The Apocalypse Factory, which is written by Steve Olson, who wrote the book about Mount St. Helens eruption that was so fascinating. And this is a book about the creation of the plutonium-based atomic bomb, and in particular Hanford, the facility in Tri-Cities that was built to create that plutonium and whose destructive effects the Northwest is still living with today. The Zealot and the Emancipator is by H.W. Brands, who grew up in Portland, Oregon, and it examines the struggle over slavery through a study of John Brown and Abraham Lincoln. One of my favorite authors, Jill Lepore, is back with another book called If Then, which is about the science of predictive analytics and behavioral data science in Cold War times, which was the basis for companies such as Cambridge Analytica. And finally, Wagnerism by Alex Ross, who is a reviewer for the New York Times. He has written a large canvas narrative history that charts the impact of Wagner on art and politics. It's a nice fat book. Too bad I can't show it to you, but it's a really nice fat book. It looks about like this. So that is history, and that's our book talk. So let's draw another name out of my grandfather's hat.
It makes a good sound, Sally.
Elke Schoen. Elke,
Elke,
are you here? She is. She is. I see her. Well, I don't see her, but I think she's here. So yay.
We just want to say the biggest thank you to all of you. Thank you for being some of our best customers. Thank you for keeping our sweet little store alive during this crazy year. And please know that we are here for you. We hope you do your Christmas shopping early because we're running out of stock on all kinds of things that we are sure we're not going to get more for before Christmas. Definitely call us if you are in a panic for books. Place orders on our website. Sally showed you how to find all of these lists that we've talked about tonight and other lists on our website. And thank you to all of you. We're thrilled to be able to say that Broadway Books has survived the pandemic, and we hope to survive into 2021. So thank you.
Yes, thank you from me as well. And I just will reiterate what Kim said, if you heard anything tonight that interests you, order it right away, ASAP. And keep in mind that we are running about 3 days behind on orders. We hope to be able to catch up this weekend, but we are running a little bit behind. So if you place an order Friday morning, don't expect to pick it up Saturday morning. All of our curbside pickup times and appointment times you can find on our website. And we're there answering phones from 10 till 4, Monday through Saturday. So thank you for your support. Yay. We love you all. And now it's time for a glass of wine. Cheers.
Woo, toast to the holiday book chat and to all of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Eloise, for running the show.
Yes, thank you, Eloise. And we'll see all of you guys soon, we hope, in the store.